We are holding here in the Gemara in Mesechta Megillah, Daf Chavav Amud Aleph 26a. Our Gemara gets into a lot of, you could say, touchy discussions. Who owns a shul? Could a shul be sold? Even back then, it was a very common thing. This picture, I'm sure, this is a picture of one of the most famous shuls in the world.
Prague,
The oldest shul outside of Israel,
in Prague, right?
which is Altina Shul. It's called the Old New Shul in Prague.
Yep, very famous.
In Prague. Maral of Prague was a Rav in that shul, was built about 500 years before him.
He was my uncle.
They say it has stones from the Holy Temple, from the Bais Hamikdash, built inside of it. The golems in the attic, on top of the Aron Kodesh, on top of the Holy Ark. This shul, anybody recognize this shul over here? Some old Pittsburgh old timers might recognize it. Anyone recognize this shul?
Is this?
You might recognize it like this. It looks like this nowadays. That's Murray Avenue. That's the parking lot of Giant Eagle.
And where is it? Where is it?
It used to be a shul over there called the Chaim shul. See the shul? It says
Today?
now it's a parking lot of Giant Eagle.
Was it Pittsburgh?
See the shul called Chafetz Chaim Congregation? It was organized in 1925. The second floor of a building in the corner of Murray and Phillips. The Rav was Rabbi Aaron Ashinsky. 1929, they bought this house to be used as a shul and a social hall. It had up to about 100 families. And in 1972, it was only about 15 members left. And then it disbanded. It was bought by Giant Eagle, and now it's part of the parking lot of Giant Eagle.
Rabbi Pupka was the grandnephew of the Chavetz Chaim. The Chavetz Chaim's last name was Pupka.
All right.
Wasn't it a Pittsburgh Rebbe had shul there?
Pittsburgh Rebbe had a shul, I think, on Douglas Street in his house. So this is a Chafetz Chaim shul. Unfortunately, now you see what it is. It's no longer a shul. It's now just a parking lot. Could a shul become a parking lot? What type of shul could become a parking lot? Maybe some shuls yes, some shuls not. We're right now. It's part of the JSF, I think Jewish Family Services, JFS, right next to Weinberg Terrace on Bartlett Street. It used to be the Russian shul. I'm sure it used to be right next door to Mr. Nidich, right? Remember the Russian shul next door?
The Russian shul, the Kollel.
Kollel used to be there in the Russian shul. Now it's part of the JFS, right? So that is no longer a shul. So the Kollel moved to another building, a newer building. So at least that shul upgraded. The Russian shul itself, it's no longer a shul, but it's being used as a communal building. Same question applies. Could a shul ever be sold? Could a shul, by necessity, communities change, shuls have to be sold. So what is the din? What is the halacha? So let's have a look inside the Gemara.
So the interesting thing with this shul, they didn't sell.
Baruch Hashem, this shul over here, we are in Bnei Emunah, currently was not sold, and Baruch Hashem stayed a shul, and now the shul is growing and expanding and building and etc. Where I lived in East Flatbush, the whole neighborhood was full of shuls. And many of them, unfortunately, today have served different congregations, not Jewish congregations. I mean, there's four things a shul can never be sold for. One of them is a Beis Avodah Zarah, a house of idol worship. That would include a mosque. Even though a mosque is not idol worship, but it's not the idea of just idol worship. It's the idea of serving anything but Hashem.
Oh. Well, unfortunately, I've seen shuls that have turned into churches.
It's very common, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is, you cannot sell it as a place of immorality. So if you're going to be mixed dancing there, a nightclub or something like that, you cannot sell it for that. Or anything that's going to be smelly, for example, a landfill, a tannery, or things like that.
So it goes to a third owner? Is that how it happens?
So
people just aren't careful?
people aren't careful of that, unfortunately, yeah. But that's the actual halacha. So to understand if a shul, it belongs to a public, does it belong to the community at large? Does it belong to certain individuals who started the shul? Does it belong to what's called the Shiva Tuvei Ir, as the Gemara will discuss today? the board, the 7 important people of the city, or does the shul belong to the entire Jewish nation, and therefore no one has any right to sell the shul? We tried bringing different proofs. Rabbi Eliezer, he bought a shul in Yerushalayim that was used by the tanners of copper, the smelters of copper, had a very smelly trade, and no one wanted to daven with them. They had their own shul, and he bought it from them and used it for his own needs, for his own house. And we said an individual shul with just a very small membership is not owned by a collective community. That could be sold for a parav type of purpose. You see from there an interesting thing, that a shul was made up of the same type of people. Meaning a shul, obviously you cannot talk during davening, but not during davening, a shul you're allowed to speak to each other. Otherwise, what's the difference? Who's davening in the shul? See, people of the same style had their own shul. Yes.
Very interesting, because the shul we had in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
The hill, they have an official New York State religious corporation.
Uh-huh.
And there are rules, I guess that's where you get tax exempt status. So the money that comes in does not have to be declared as for income tax purposes. And there has to be an official membership. What the criteria for membership are, that the shul could determine. For us, you had to pay membership dues and come a certain number of times a year. Then you need offices. And on top of the offices, there has to be a board of directors.
It's very interesting. There's a Herschel Chitrik and Shalom lived in Incarn Heights. So there was a very big conservative shul on Eastern Parkway called the Jewish Center, Brooklyn Jewish Center, which is now Oleh Torah. And very quietly, the Rebbe told him, you should become a member there. And don't tell anybody he comes from the Rebbe. So he became a member there. And he used to go to the pool and hang out with the people there, reading a newspaper and chit-chatting with them. And other chassidim in Incarn Heights were upset with him. Like, what are you doing? You know, you're a chassid, you're hanging out over there. And later on, when they wanted to sell the building and they needed agreement from everyone of all the members, and he said, no, we can't sell it. It has to be kept as a Jewish institution. So eventually they sold it for much less than asking price than they could have got. And they sold it to Oleh Torah Yeshiva. Now it's still a center, a hall, and everything.
Oh, don't you think it was a conservative shul that became?
Now it's a yeshiva, yeah.
Wow.
But it's a very large, sturdy building.
There's a lot of big buildings in Brooklyn, a lot of conservative shuls. So like you said, some of them went to be whatever deserve. But a lot of them, most of them were built by the conservative Jews, and they put all the money in. And a lot of them now became either yeshivas
So I just came from the shul with everybody having the same occupation, more or less. It was over 55 community, but basically everybody's retired over 70. So it was it's just interesting to see a young person up here. You're surprised.
It's about what are you doing here?
That's why I grew up here in Florida. I grew up in Hallandale and Cabarrus out of South Dallas. My sister went a place in the senior center, senior community. We go there, it's nothing. It's what nobody talks, it's quiet, it's dead. And in these shuls, the kids are running around and they make noise.
Right.
The highest.
So the next proof we tried bringing was from. Oh, it's okay. We'll try going.
Yeah, when I have
sure.
a question,
Sure.
someone owns, if a Jew owns a store, the church wants to buy to make the church actually that would be a lot issue because actually they're giving you the money, they're not giving it just like that, or what?
That's a different. I think it's a totally different story. I don't think you're allowed to sell it directly to a church to grant it to them.
You could rent it to them.
You could rent it to them. I remember the Mr. Pullman here from Pinskers. Next door, they opened up a nail salon next door to Pinskers many years ago, and they had all these incense and idols and stuff they were doing in there. And he forcefully got them out. And he took it over, and now it's his second store. Now it's where 18 is.
If the church pays you money,
A store is you own the store.
mhm.
There's other halachas. It's a whole different mitzvah. It's called you're not allowed to give chanaya bekarka. You're not allowed to give a place for
Right.
idol worshippers to live among you.
Hmm.
So if you don't own the property, nothing you can do about it. But if you own the property, then you could not. There's a way of not giving them a place to be. So that's a whole different ballgame. Next, we try bringing the proof from the Beis Hamikdash. We see that Yehuda and Binyamin, they own different parts of the Beis Hamikdash. Like we brought over here, this is entire Beis Hamikdash. The holier part, where the Kodesh Kodashim was owned by Shevet in the land of Shevet Binyamin, and the lower part was in the land of Shevet Yehuda. And Binyamin really wanted to incorporate the Mizbeach, so a scrap, it says a little ritzua, a strip of land came out. Interestingly, the Medrash says that when Binyamin was found holding the goblet that his brother Yosef planted into his sack as they're leaving Mitzrayim, so all the brothers became very upset at him, very upset at the Binyamin. How dare you steal? Now you're implicating all of us. You're getting us all in trouble. What's our father going to tell us? And they said they all hit Binyamin with a strap except for Yehuda, the brother Yehuda, because he took responsibility for Binyamin. And he said in that merit, all of them lost, all the brothers lost their portion of the Beis Hamikdash, except for Yehuda. And Yehuda kept the Beis Hamikdash except for the one strap that's called Ritzua, the same word, strip and strap. Which over here, you see Yehuda and Binyamin, the two sides of the Beis of the Mizbeach, right? The sides without the lowest level, it's called the Yisod, the foundation, that belonged to Yehuda, and the ones with the Yisod belonged to Binyamin.
And all of the rest of the Beis,
all the rest of the Beis Hamikdash belonged to the Bais. There's two opinions. It belonged to everyone collectively, or to belong to just Shevet Yehuda. Correct. Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe. Just a trivia, Rebbe. Do you recognize this place? Can't hear.
It actually closed before we came in '89. I mean, so it was gone. But
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about the Chaim shul, which is now a parking lot. So we tried bringing a proof from the Beis Hamikdash, and we said there's different opinions on the matter. Rabbi Yonasan, Rabbi Yehuda, but we brought the second opinion that no Shevet, no individual tribe owned the Beis Hamikdash. It belonged to everybody collectively, evenly, and not just that. Yerushalayim, the city, was not owned by anyone. It was owned by everyone collectively, and therefore anybody could be forced to sort of stay in someone else's house. You weren't allowed to take rent for renting your house. And the Chachamim, the sages, said that although the land of Yerushalayim belongs to the Jewish people collectively, but you could rent out your bed, let's say. The bed belongs to me. So even though your bed, let's say a cot, that costs you $100, but or you're not going to get $3 a night, but you could rent it out. It's the area you could rent out.
this is how Airbnb got started.
What was the
Original Airbnb.
original B&B?
Yeah. So we learn a lesson from here. Amar Abaya says, Shema Mina, we learn from here. It's proper etiquette. Lemishpak inish gulpa umashka bushbize. It's 26b2. It's proper etiquette for a person who is a guest to leave a gift for the host. From the fact that says that they couldn't charge for their beds, but it says the custom was to leave the hides of the skin, the leather of the animals that they would bring as a karban as a gift for the host. So we see that it's proper to leave a gift for the host, and to the extent that just like in the Yerushalayim, the host was able to demand the hide, the skin from the guest. So it's proper. It's not actual halacha, but it's a proper thing to leave a gift for your host when you're staying there. And it's only proper, saying let's say the guest bought an animal and got meat for supper and he has leftovers, he should leave it to the host. He shouldn't take it home with him. So everything leftovers, the guest should give to the host.
26B what?
26, sorry, so 26, I might see the article for a moment, please.
Sure, because we tried to look for a buy, you can't find it here.
26.
I think it's 26A.
26A, 4. 26A, 4, right? So now we're up to the last paragraph of the page, about to turn the Amud. Amar Rava says, returning to the discussion of the Mishnah, when are you allowed to sell a city square, like the square in front of the Kollel? That's used occasionally as a shul. When are you allowed to sell a shul? And the money has to be used only for for an item of equal or holier, greater kedusha. Amar Rava says, it only applies when you have 2 criteria met. That's the only time you could sell a shul. One, if the board of the shul agreed, and we're talking about not a small shtibel. A small shtibel could be sold. We're talking about a big community shul with a lot of guests, that cannot be sold. If the 7 representatives of the city, how were they chosen? It was arbitrary. Could be it was chosen by elections. Could be it was chosen by whoever represented the Jewish community at that time. But it wasn't a clear-cut way. They don't necessarily have to be the 7 wisest Torah scholars of the city, and they don't have to be people which are the wealthiest. These are just representatives who are chosen for the city, and whatever they do has a very strong. It's very strong, and it's considerable. It's considered that they are representing all the people of the city have done what they were, and it's considered as if everyone in the city did it. But the second thing is that all the people of the city also have to agree that it could be sold.
All
All the people, meaning the general consensus is majority. Because what happens if the board of the shul decides to make a quick buck out of the shul and to sell it without having all the members involved? So you have to have the members. I don't think it has to be unanimous, but the general consensus, all the members and the entire board, they have to be agreeable to this, and only then could they sell it and use the money to buy a new shul, to purchase a new place. If you have a little small town where you don't have a board or you never appointed representatives, so then you would only have that one condition of having the members deciding together. Now, a difference would be what nowadays would be, let's say, a Chabad house. A Chabad house, when it's built to begin with, is a very multi-purpose place. It's not strictly a shul where you daven, because we're going to soon have halachas of a Bais Knesses, a shul where you daven, and a Bais Medrash, a place where you learn. It will be a very different halachas, and many of them are stricter than the other. But when the Chabad house is built to begin with, it's built on condition that it's not only for a shul, it's going to be used for other things as well. So such a place has a lesser degree of sanctity, and you could sell it to buy a better place, or as things change, that could be done. A shul which is built by an individual, which you have many of these, it's called the roofs, like a rav of a shul, a rav of a community, and they have it in many circles, and that they have a large property and they build a big shul. They're the rabbi, but they own the shul and they own the entire thing from A to Z. So even if people give money to the shul, they're donating to the shul only because of the rabbi of the shul, only because of him. So he also has sole authority of that place. So let's say a Rebbe would be like that. And we mentioned in the previous year that the Rebbe in 1983 or 82, he sold 770. He sold the building to get funds to renovate the women's mikveh in Crown Heights. A Rebbe
sold the building
of 770.
Yeah. So they had to pay rent?
No, it was more of a symbolic sale.
It's a 100-year lease, you said, right?
No, it sold.
Okay.
The Rebbe said that he brought up the topic a few times and nobody took action on it, so he took action on it. He could sell a shul for a mikveh, and we don't know who bought it. They say it was someone who was not Chabad, who was very connected, very close to the Rebbe, and he's not getting involved at all in anything of the shul. It was more of a symbolic thing. I think it was more of a symbolic statement that was being made.
So who owns it now?
It's Agudas Chassidei Chabad. That's what it says. The Chabad International.
So, large community shul, the neighborhood changes and it gets sold. Who gets the funds from the sale?
So that's everything we're learning about here in the Gemara.
Oh, okay.
A large communal shul says the funds cannot go towards has to go towards another shul. Can't go towards anything else.
Yeah.
One discussion, which was briefly touched upon, but we didn't delve into it, was if they're able to find something for a cheaper price. For example, it says you could sell a shul to buy a Sefer Torah. So let's say they sold a shul for $30,000, and they're able to find a new Sefer Torah for $28,000. So now, what should they do with the last $2,000? So that they say that could be used also for a new shul. Doesn't have to be used, like I say, for a new Sefer Torah. Doesn't, because they're able to get the same thing for a cheaper price. There are in our Gemara we have 4 different opinions. Rashi says that if the board of the shul sold it, whatever they did is done. And if they sold it and they did it in agreement with the people of the city, even the money is not holy, and the money could also be unconsecrated. The Rush holds that in big cities, large shuls, the funds have to go to another new large shul. The Rambam holds that if they sold a shul without the permission of the board of the shul, of the 7 Shiva Tuvei, so then the money has to be consecrated for a new shul. The money, if you sold it, and the place that you sold it could be sold for everything but 4 things, which we mentioned what they were. If the shul was sold with the agreement of the 7 board members, will be the board. It doesn't have to be necessarily 7. 7 is brought because throughout Tanakh you see that a king had 7 advisors. So if they did it together, so then the Rambam says that all the money, the funds go towards a new shul, but the place itself could be sold for anything, even for a church, even for something which is not clean. And the Rabbi holds that the shul itself can never be sold for something not respectable. So, for example, this shul Chaim or the Russian shul, right? They're no longer shuls, but it's not something disrespectful. It's not a garbage dump where it is over there. A dumpster is not there. It's a parking lot, or it's a Jewish family services, something like that. So that's not such a big deal. The place where I wasn't living in East Flatbush, so it was called the Congregation Agudas Achim of East Flatbush, and very nice shul, very nice building, and was sold to a church. But they took all the money from that shul and they built a new shul in Tel Aviv with the same name. You can check it up, Agudas Achim of East Flatbush, on some street in Tel Aviv.
And so what was the permission issued to turn that building into a church?
Wasn't. No permission for that. Well, maybe they're following the sheet of the Ravid and of the Rambam, and they think that they're a small shul. I don't know.
Sometimes shuls actually don't know what they're doing, I guess, and so that's what happened.
Yeah, there's many shuls in Crown Heights. I mean, that was the Rebbe's crusade in the 60s. All right, there was one place I mentioned on Schenectady Avenue where the boys from the yeshiva used to go every week and review Chassidus in the shul between Mincha and Ma'ariv every week. And one week they come and there's a new sign on the door and there's symbols and it says whatever church name is. What happened? They went to the house of one of the people that they knew in the shul, and the person said that we knew if Lubavitch finds out they're going to sell the shul, they would try stopping it. So we made sure to keep it a secret. There's a place on
Was it Lubavitch shul? Was it
no, not Lubavitch shul. Crown Heights used to be a very diverse community before it became all Lubavitch. Another place on Eastern Parkway and Buffalo Avenue is a shul, still has a big Magen David on it. My father's brother used to go there every weekend, review Chassidus, and he was the last one to go there before it was sold also to our church. And unfortunately, it's very common nowadays in that whole area.
When the past, actually, you had so many Orthodox shuls which didn't have the pizzas.
Correct.
Yet they still called themselves Orthodox.
Correct. I mean, again, it brings in Sfarim that if there's talking going on in the shul during davening, then that shul could unfortunately turn into a place of the opposite of holiness. I'm not saying why anything happens, but it's just something to be very careful about.
There's a big shul on the hill that you can see it as dome.
Where in East Liberty?
No, on the hill, it's
On the Hill District.
it
Uh-huh.
was Kessetor, there was no Kessetor.
That was the original Casatora. Oh, wow. So
The steps for the women on outside.
fine. We started Rebbe's statement, but we'll continue with Rebbe's statement tomorrow. And we're going to talk more about Bais Nissan. And we're going to, mainly, I'm going to talk very little. I'm going to let Rabbi Danziger, Rabbi Label Estrin's son-in-law, do most of the talking for us.
Okay.
Today is Bais Nissan. It's a yahrzeit that starts of the Rebbe Rashab. We learned much of his Chassidus over the last couple years. We learned to Kunter Sumayan. The Rebbe Rashab is called the Rambam of Chassidus for his in-depth explanations. In addition to that, the Rebbe explained how, for us, Bais Nissan, more than being the day that the Rebbe Rashab passed away, it's a beginning of the Nesius, of the leadership of the Frierdiker Rebbe. And that's for us is most important. Similar to Yud Shvat, is although it's the passing of the Frierdiker Rebbe, it's also the beginning of the leadership of the Rebbe, with all that it entails. So Bais Nissan was traditionally always a very special day in Lubavitch. I don't think there's anyone around now who still saw the Rebbe Rashab, perhaps, but I don't think so.
Well, when did he pass away?
He passed away in the year 1920. If you remember the story I said about the Chassid who had passed away the day before. Passed away Motzei Shabbos at a very young age in Rostov. You could say the Rebbe Rashab made the biggest move of any Rebbe, of any sort, which was moving from a town of Lubavitch, from a small town, where Chassidus was always in small towns, from Baal Shem Tov all the way till then. Because of World War I and the Rebbe Rashab saying, I cannot be by the Germans, and he ran away, he escaped from the Germans, and he ended up in Rostov, moving to a large city. And from there, from Rostov, it went to Leningrad to Moscow, to Riga, to Warsaw, to New York City, only big cities since then. And you could say sort of changed entire direction of Chassidus Chabad. So we will have a little tour over the Rebbe Rashab's house in Rostov, home in Rostov, by Reb Chaim Danziger. Rabbi, his right to his wife is Eshrin, Frega Eshrin, and show us the place where the Rebbe Rashab passed away, and by the oil from a few years ago, the live stream from the oil of the Rebbe Rashab. So let me just make sure the sound is better.
Video of his kids bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
He makes a beautiful speech in fluent Russian. Talking about the whole avodah shlichus and everything. It's all in Russian.
Wow.
Many people planned on coming to Rostov to spend this special holy day together with the local Jewish community, to Farbrain, to visit the Rebbe's house. I thought I'd take a few minutes to show you where the Rebbe lived, to show you the Rebbe's house, to give you a tour of the place. And Mitzvah Hashem, we look forward to hosting you and to seeing you very soon once things settle down. So this is the house known as Bratsky Sorak Dva, the 42nd house on Bratsky Street. When the Rebbe first moved to Rostov, he moved to an apartment on Pushkinskaya, which if you look at this street, you go all the way to the end of the street, it's Pushkinskaya. That was the first apartment the Rebbe rented. When they first came, they went to a hotel for several days, and then they moved to the first apartment. There's a story how the owner of the apartment wasn't so fond of the Chassidim coming, to say the least. So it's a very difficult time for the Rebbe Rashab. They moved into a second apartment, and then eventually they bought this building. And after half a year of renovations of this building, they moved in 1918, Tishrei of 1918. What's special, if you notice, there's a very big gate to this house. something that most of the houses around here don't have. If you look at the houses across the street, they don't have these big gates. Why does this have a big gate? This was considered a house of the rich people, the wealthy, as carriages and horses were able to come in here, and it was a special house that was really something the Rebbe Rashab needed, and I'll explain why. So when you come into this house, you'll notice there's a big courtyard with walls outside. And it's something that's very special because moving in that time, think about this, 1918. You're talking about the time of the revolution, the time of great uncertainty here. It was very difficult. The Rebbe Rashab wanted to build a mikveh. And to build a mikveh, you need to have a house that you're able to have the oitzer, you're able to have the water coming down without anyone seeing. So that's why this house is unique. If you look around, there's a wall around the house, and there's no problems with neighbors or anything else. So they bought this house. It was considered a special house, a big house. You could actually see right here on the wall, there's a fence. Well, that used to be the gate, the entranceway to this house. And we assume that this is what was here in 1916, 1915, 1918, 1920, when the Rebbe Rashab lived here. So to look at this house, you have two parts of the house. You have this part of the house here, which is where the Rebbe Rashab, the Frierdiker Rebbe, lived. In this part of the house, the Yechidus room, the Farbrengen room, the Beis Medrash. Then you have this part of the house, which is where Rabbi Landa, the Chassidim, the secretaries lived in this part of the house. So when the house was bought back by Tzach, they knew that there was a mikveh here somewhere, but don't know where the mikveh was. So the Chassidim that were here as children back in the day, they said they remember that the mikveh was under the kitchen. But how do you know where the kitchen is? How could you figure out? The house was built in 1870, right? So in 1920, the kitchen was somewhere. How do you know where the kitchen is today? To be able to look under there to see if the mikveh was there. So they looked in archival documents in the city archive, and they saw that the kitchen used to be right there. So if the kitchen was theirs, then it has to be under somewhere in the basement. And they went down into the basement, and that's where they discovered the famous first Lubavitcher mikveh in the world, the mikveh that was built according to the instructions of the Rebbe Rashab, the Bor Gabi Bor mikveh. You can see here actually where the water comes. The water comes down from there, and it comes in these pipes here that are the original pipes, and it goes in here, and that's how it went down into the mikveh. If you see here, these stones right here in this little cage, they're the stones that were from the mikveh. When they found the mikveh, some stones broke. They wanted to keep them, so they put them there aside. We'll go take a look at the mikveh. So the mikveh is right here. It was discovered by the shliach in Rostov, Rabbi Eliashiv Kaplon, together with the this one here. Hello. Okay, so this is the mikveh right here. So they came into this room, and this was a basement. There was nothing here. Dirt on the ground. They started, moving what was on the floor, and they uncovered the first step right here. This is the first step. They uncovered the first step, the second step, the third step, and they realized this was the mikveh. The most amazing thing that was found here was that when they dug it all up, they found that the bar, hatachta, the water, the rainwater, if you look in the corner of the mikveh, that was covered with a stone, and there was still water in there when they found this. So imagine the mikveh was sitting here empty for 70 years, and then they find right in there that there's still water from the times of the Frierdiker Rebbe. This mikveh was used by the Rebbe Rashab, the mikveh was used by the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the mikveh was used by the Rebbe that came here in the times that the Frierdiker Rebbe was here. So it's an amazing schus to have such a mikveh here, and it's historic, the first Lubavitcher mikveh. Okay. So looking at this house, we'll take a look now. Rabbi Mendel Morozov came here to visit, and when he came here to visit, it was interesting. I was told that he entered from the main gate, and he saw people walking into the side door. This side door is the door where the Rebbe Rashab and the Frierdiker Rebbe lived. So when Mendel Marazzo came in, he saw that. He was taken aback. He was saying, how could you, it's the Rebbe Rashab's house. It's really, no one goes in there. He remembers as a child, this was off bounds. And this is the place right here. This is the personal living quarters, the Yechidus room of the Rebbe Rashab. Take a look. You have here. Здравствуйте, Лиза. Здравствуйте. Живы здоровы?
Привет.
Просто снимаю вот живой, я сейчас вот клянусь к вам. Он снимает вот меня. So here is this is where the Frierdiker Rebbe lived, down here. Obviously this is renovated, so there's not much to see here today. When there was the yeshiva here, this was the dining room. We're going to come back here soon. So the Rebbe Rashab's Yechidus room and the room where the Rebbe Rashab lived in, the Rebbetzin is right up here. I'm going to take a look right now. This is the room where the Rebbe Rashab lived, or the Rebbetzin lived, their personal quarters, 2 rooms. These 2 rooms are the Rebbe Rashab's and the Rebbetzins' personal quarters. And if you heard the story, when the Rebbe Rashab was nostalgic, he asked to be taken to the Zal. The Zal was his Yechidus room, which was basically to be taken from here into this room, the Yechidus room. Was asked to be taken into this room. This is the Yechidus room. This is, you can actually take a look at the entrance. There's some nails, the original nails that were here when they found the house right here and right there from the times of the Rebbe Rashab. So the Rebbe Rashab had one picture taken of him when he was planning, he needed to get a visa, they were planning to go to Georgia, and the picture of the Rebbe Rashab is with this wallpaper in the background. So this is the original wallpaper from the time of the Rebbe Rashab. You could also look part of the ceiling here. That was the original ceiling in the times of the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe Rashab asked to be taken to this room exactly 100 years ago in Bais Nissan. The Rebbe Rashab asked to be taken to this room, and this is where the Rebbe Rashab said, that I'm going to heavens and I'm leaving you the chsavim. And this is the message that we live with, the message that's important to us, that we connect to the Rebbe, to the Nasi Rebbe, through the chsavim, through learning the Rebbe's sichos, the Rebbe's maimarim, the Rebbe's letters. That's a lesson to each and every one of us. So this is the historic room of Yechidus. It was a big room. People were coming from one side, they go on the other side. And this is the room that was known as the Farbrengen room. So this room that the Rebbe Rashab and the Frierdiker Rebbe, they'd have Farbrengens. There's also a little Bais Medrash you can actually see here. So the Rebbe Rashab used to really sit right over here. The Rebbe Rashab would sit here, and this is where everything took place, in this small little room. And there was a passageway between this room to the other side of the house, which is where the Chassidim lived. So you go through from this room.
So we see where the Rebbe Rashab was nostalgic, and here is a video. This was 100 years the Rebbe Rashab was right during COVID, but this is from the oil of the Rashab.
Very close that today we should be able to be zeichet to see the Rebbe lemata masarat fachim be'enei basar v'hu yigalenu.
This is on Bais Nissan by the oil of the Rebbe Rashab in Rashab.
Here's the son-in-law of
I want to share a few last words with you. Come here, Yaakov. I want to share a few last words. Shabbos here, you can see, in about a half an hour, 40 minutes, Shabbos is beginning. And I wanted to share a few words. I hear from many people that now is a time that we have to have Mesiras Nefesh. Everyone's having Mesiras Nefesh. For some people, they consider Mesiras Nefesh that you have to stay at home all day. For other people, Mesiras Nefesh that you can't work. For other people, Mesiras Nefesh is not going to a minyan or not going to mikveh. You know, I moved to Rostov on Shluchas 11 years ago. And in the 11 years I've been here, I've realized that the Mesiras Nefesh the Yidden here have had always and have today is something that cannot be compared to anything else in the world. When I first moved here, people asked why I was moving here. I said, we have to go inspire, we have to go encourage, we have to bring the Rebbe's light all over. But for the past 11 years, it's become clear that more than Shluchim in Russia inspire the local Russian Taira Yidden, they inspire us. I want to share with you, you saw in the oil, I tried showing that right next to the Rebbe Rashab is the Matzeva of Reb Shmuel Garari. We have some other people here that are buried next to the Rebbe Rashab. These are people that were moisture nefesh, had real Mesiras Nefesh for the inyanim of the Rebbe Rashab. So I want to share with you, we had today on Bais Nissan, the Moil was supposed to come to Rostov. Because a few Yidden, a few young people, there was a 35-year-old young man, there was another person, a few bunch of people wanted to come and do a bris on this special day. One of them even told me he had a secret that he waited. He was ready to do it a month and a half ago, but he wanted to wait for Bais Nissan. Why? Because he wanted to take the name Shalom Dov there, the Rebbe Rashab's name. So he called me Motzei Shabbos as things were getting difficult, and it was clear that it wasn't what's going to happen. Could the Moil come? And he told me, Chaim, please call the Moil. Tell me if the Moil could come here for Bais Nissan. If not, I'm going to fly to him. So I told him, we can't come. We can't go to him. He can't come here. What bothers this Yid, his name is Sergei, what bothers Sergei is that on Bais Nissan, his Mesiras Nefesh is that he cannot do a bris. The Mesiras Nefesh is not that he could do it, it's that he cannot do a bris. So today is a time that we have to think, now is a time, what is the Mesiras Nefesh we choose for ourselves? Every generation has its Mesiras Nefesh. The Yidden who lived here, the Chassidim who lived here 100 years ago, had tremendous Mesiras Nefesh. I want to share with you one story, and we'll walk for that to show you the story. There was a chassid that lived in Rostov in 1918. This is when the revolution took place. This is the chassid of the Rebbe Rashab by the name of Mordechai Lifshitz. He has many grandchildren or shluchim. He has a good chaver of ours, Rabbi Lakshin is his grandson. So Mordechai Lifshitz, as things were getting difficult here in 1918, he went to the Rebbe Rashab and he told the Rebbe Rashab, I want to leave Rostov. You have to realize this, at the time it wasn't Lubavitch here. Rostov was always considered a bit of a gullus from Lubavitch. It was the first gullus from Lubavitch. It was a difficult time, and he came to the Rebbe and he said, Rebbe Rashab, I want to leave. The Rebbe Rashab didn't tell him, don't leave. The Rebbe Rashab didn't tell him that you should leave. The Rebbe Rashab told him, if you leave, who's going to stay behind? That's all the Rebbe Rashab told this chassid, this younger man, in 1918. A time of great upheaval, a time the revolution was going on. There was a war between all the different people here. Now, what did Mordechai Lifshitz do? Remotel, as they called him. In Tov Reish Pei, the Rebbe Rashab was nostalgic, and he stayed in Rostov. The Frierdiker Rebbe was Mekabel Messias here in Rostov, and like I showed, there was a video that showed the Rebbe Rashab's house. You're able to take a look at it. It was something yesterday I just did for one of the schools. You could see the Frierdiker Rebbe's house, the Rebbe Rashab's house, where the Frierdiker Rebbe was Mekabel Messias, the mikveh. So the Frierdiker Rebbe left 4 years later, and Remotel Lifshitz stayed in Rostov. The Nazis came to Rostov in 1942. They killed every single Jew living in the city. Not a single Jew stayed behind, was left behind after the Nazis. It's known as the Babi Yar of Russia, Zmiyovskaya Balka, the Snake's Valley, they call it. Mordechai went, evacuated, and he came back to Rostov. And he was here the last chassid, he was here the last Lubavitcher, and he was here until 1968 when he passed away. Here, by the way, is the Matzeva of Rav Nosson Garari, another chassid who was Mosher B'Lev Nefesh to the Rebbe Rashab. Yossi Sternberg, if you're watching. So this Motel Lifshitz, why am I telling you about him? Because he could have left. There were years there was no kosher meat in Rostov. There was years that there was not food, that you couldn't get kosher food here. But he stayed in Rostov because the Rebbe Rashab told him. He didn't tell him don't leave. He didn't tell him you must stay here. He didn't tell him your shlichus is here. He wasn't a shliach. The Rebbe Rashab told him, if you leave, who's going to stay behind? dear friends, this is the matzeva of Rav Mordechai Lifshitz. I apologize, I made a mistake. He passed away in 1969. Come, please show it. In 1969, Rav Mordechai Lifshitz passed away, and he's buried right here, 2 matzevos away from the Rebbe Rashab. A person who had a Mesiras Nefesh to fulfill the Rebbe's directives. We also have to choose what Mesiras Nefesh we have today. We could choose that our Mesiras Nefesh is going to be to sit at home with the family and kids all day. We could choose that our Mesiras Nefesh is going to be that we can't earn the money that we need or want, and that's going to be our Mesiras Nefesh. We could choose that the Mesiras Nefesh is that we can't go to a Pesach hotel this year, that we planned. We could choose that the Mesiras Nefesh is that I'm not in Rostov today, I'm Bais Nissan. I had tickets, I had a hotel booking. That could be our Mesiras Nefesh. We could choose the Mesiras Nefesh that Pesach, we can't have guests, or I can't be with my parents, or they can't come to me. Or we could choose, right now in Bais Nissan, as it's coming to a close in Rostov, we could choose that our Mesiras Nefesh is going to be Besimcha. Our Mesiras Nefesh is going to be Besimcha, so that Mashiach should come. So that Mashiach should come, and we shouldn't just pray now for Refuah Shlema, and then next week we go back to regular life and everything's back, business as usual. That's not enough. We want that. That should absolutely happen. And on next week, it should happen today. But what we want today is we want that Mashiach should come. Our Mesiras Nefesh should be that we should find a way inside our souls, inside our neshamas, that we should be Besimcha. We should be Besimcha. That should bring the Geula. And we should be able to celebrate together very soon. Usually, I invite people. When I lived in California, I invite people to come visit us. And every Shabbos, we'd have guests. In Rostov, it's been a little more difficult. Last year on Bais Nissan, we had an amazing group of Anash from Pomona, led by Moshe Rubin. We had an amazing group, Rabbi Denberg from Boca. It was an amazing group that came and gave us a lot of chizuk. This year, Bais Nissan has been different. This year, we didn't have any guests. We didn't have any people. When shluchim come, when people come visit us, any anash, and they come here, traveling all the way here, it gives tremendous chizuk to us as shluchim. This year, we don't have that. This year, we have to find the chizuk inside our neshama. And our focus and our goal has to be that we have to take the Nissan, we have to take the Mesiras Nefesh of fighting for Mashiach to come. Because if Mashiach comes, the refuah is going to be there. Everything is going to be there. This is what the Rebbe fought for. These were the last words that the Rebbe gave us, the last mission to each and every one of us. It wasn't a mission to shluchim. It was a mission to every single Jew, every single Anash member, every single Lubavitcher, that we have to fight to bring Mashiach. We have to go back to the forefront of the lines to lead, to lead and to push for this. And in Mitzvah Hashem, we should be zeicher before Shabbos ends. Mashiach should come. We should meet together in a beautiful farbrengen together in Yerushalayim HaKodesh b'meir of Yameinu. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Yes, and of course, thank you to Rabbi Danziger. And okay, and with that.